Hi, this chapter will cover digestive system. As we know, it's no news that eating is a fundamental requirement to live. So when you eat, you obtain energy. You break down the steak and the nutrients in steak when you eat a piece of steak, and you dismantle the nutrients in the steak with the help of chemical digestion. Then you absorb and you use the absorbed nutrients to build your own muscles. And this is all done by the digestive system. The process starts in the mouth, and the study of the digestive tract and the diagnosis of disorders of the digestive tract is known as gastroenterology. Gastroenterology. And in this chapter, we will be covering the major functions of the digestive system, the differences between chemical and mechanical digestion, some basic chemical processes that help in chemical digestion, and some tissues and accessory organs that help in absorption and digestion. So, the process of digestion involves the gastrointestinal tract and a lot of accessory organs that help in breaking down food. So the first portion of the digestive tract is known as the GI tract, well, the major portion. It's called the alimentary canal as well. And it includes the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and the anus. So the digestive system is an open tube because it's open at both ends. It's open at the mouth and it's open at the anus. So there's a lot of other accessory organs in between that supplement the process of digestion that is mainly performed by the GI tract. So the accessory organs include the teeth and tongue, the salivary gland, the stomach, and the pancreas, liver, and all the associated tissues and muscles involved with the accessory organs and the GI tract. Now, the process of digestion can be a chemical process or a mechanical process, but basically, it involves 5 stages of digestion. The first stage is called ingestion. Ingestion involves food intake. So you eat the food and then you break it down by the process of chemical and mechanical digestion into a more usable form in the presence of water, chemicals, and enzymes. And the third step is absorption. Absorption involves a lot of specialized epithelial tissues with microvilli. So a lot of places in the intestine you'll find epithelial cells with a brush border on it. Because anywhere you see a brush border, it means they have a microvilli that increase the surface area for absorption. And anything that cannot be absorbed needs to be removed from the body. So the next process is compaction of the indigestible waste into feces, and the last step is defecation. The feces that is made needs to be eliminated as well. The process is called defecation. The first type of process in digestion is mechanical digestion. Mechanical digestion includes the physical breakdown of food. And mechanical digestion is performed by the teeth and tongue, that's grinding in the mouth. And it also involves peristalsis, or the churning movement by the smooth muscles in the digestive system. So that's called mechanical breakdown. Now, chemical breakdown, on the other hand, involves a lot of enzymes, water, and it also involves a lot of chemicals like HCl in the stomach that help in breaking down food. So chemical digestion involves the salivary glands in the mouth, which contain salivary amylase and a lot of other enzymes in the stomach and the intestine. It involves the pancreas as well. Most of the nutrients are present in the usable form, but there are some amino acids and some vitamins that cannot be obtained through food very easily, like vitamin B12 cannot be easily absorbed by the body. And there are a lot of essential amino acids that need to be obtained from an external source because they cannot be directly absorbed by the body. So the digestive system is actually a pretty organized system with 4 tissue layers in the digestive tract. And the first layer is called the mucosa. So the mucosa is the mucosal lining. It is the innermost layer of the digestive tract, and it lines the lumen of the digestive tract. Now this layer contains a very thin layer of epithelium. So the innermost layer is an epithelium, and then right under the epithelium it contains the lamina propria. The lamina propria is a layer of loose connective tissue, and then it contains a layer of very smooth muscles, because smooth muscles are involuntary. So they help in churning the food by involuntary motion we call peristalsis. Now, the type of epithelial tissue that lines the innermost part of the digestive tract is simple columnar epithelium. So the next layer in the digestive tract is the submucosa. The submucosa contains blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and nerves, and it contains an enteric nervous system in, the second and third layer. So submucosa and muscula externa contain a nervous system, enteric nervous system throughout the submucosa and muscularis layer to coordinate mechanical mixing, because this is an involuntary process over which we have no control. So the second layer, which is submucosa, is made up mostly of dense connective tissue, and it lies inferior to the mucosal layer. Now, the first layer, which is a mucosa, I must mention this. The first layer contains malt. Malt is mucosa associated lymphatic tissue. Now, the malt is the lymphatic tissue that contains lymphocytes and lymphatic nodules. So the main job of malt in the mucosa is to sample food from time to time and present it to the antigen. So the third layer is called the muscularis externa. The muscularis externa is made up of 2 layers of smooth muscles, and its main job is to move food through the digestive tract. So this one is the layer that helps in churning the food, mainly involved in peristalsis, and it also segments the digestive tract when needed. And the last layer is known as the serosa. Now, the serosa is the 4th layer of the digestive tract, and it basically begins below, about 3 to 4 centimeters below the esophagus, and it runs all the way until before the rectum begins. Now, it's the outermost layer, so it is very close to the visceral peritoneum, means the outermost layer of the digestive tract, which is then surrounded by a serous cavity filled with fluid. That's why we call it the visceral layer. And it is made up of 2 layers of simple squamous epithelium. So the main role of the serosa is to wrap the digestive tract on the outside and lubricate it heavily. So that's the main role of the serosa layer. So the first part of the alimentary canal is the oral cavity, which we call the mouth. And the function of the oral cavity is to help in chemical and mechanical digestion. Now, this cavity contains simple squamous epithelium, well, stratified squamous epithelium, not simple squamous epithelium, and it produces something called as defensin. Now, defensins are bactericidal molecules, so we call them defensins. And the epithelium type is stratified squamous epithelium. So you have layers of non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium because every time we eat something, say hard or sharp, a part of the tissue gets scuffed off and then we have a fresh layer of cells. And right under the tongue, there's an area known as lingual frenulum. So the lingual frenulum, if you lift your tongue, the division that you see in between the floor of the tongue and the bottom of the floor of the mouth and the bottom of the tongue, that's called the lingual frenulum. So the lingual frenulum is a small fold of mucous membrane right in the middle under the tongue. Now, ankyloglossia is a condition which is also known as tongue tie. So it is a congenital oral abnormal condition or anomaly that decreases the mobility of the tongue. So this is usually caused by unusually short, thick lingual frenulum, and it's in layman terms called a tongue tie. So the mouth contains 3 main pairs of salivary glands. The first gland is the parotid salivary gland, which is right over here. So the parotid salivary gland is near the site of where mumps infection happens, and the next gland is the submandibular gland. So the submandibular gland is adjacent to the mandible, and they have the third gland, which is the sublingual gland, and the sublingual gland is right under the tongue that you see right here. Now all of these 3 glands are exocrine glands because they secrete the saliva into a salivary duct and then they are taken to the mouth. So we produce as much as 1,000 milliliters to 1,500 milliliters of saliva every day. And saliva has a lot of functions. It helps in cleansing the mouth. It helps in moistening food so we can make a bolus, and it dissolves chemicals like salivary amylase to accommodate food. And then it also helps in digestion. So the chemical digestion in the mouth begins right here in the presence of enzyme known as salivary amylase.